This is the Ted Harrison landscape demo that I'll be showing you guys. So as we talked about Ted Harrison and who he was, um, he did a lot of landscape, more abstracted landscape from what he saw around him. So he was doing those orca whales, caribou, living way up on the Yukon. He had those things out his back door. For us, I'd like to make it a little bit more meaningful. So what I have here, this is a photo I took, I think this past summer, of a lake that I live close to. It's a nice little lake that you have to portage your canoe to get to. So it's pretty quiet, not a lot of traffic on it. And so kind of dark to see, but this little triangle part here, this is my canoe looking out. So this is going to be what I'm going to be using. So it meets the criteria that it's personal to me, it has some type of meaning, and then it also has some subject matter, which is also what I'm asking for, meaning that it's not just straight landscape, there's something else. So Ted Harrison might have had that little hut, or people walking their canoe out, or animals, whatever, as long as it has some little piece of subject matter in it also. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try to get the main parts of what I see. So I'll capture where the water line is, I'll put in where the tree line is, then of course where the canoe is as well. And what I'll be doing is taking it and transferring that all onto this sheet. So I'll start sketching it, and then I will then have to determine where am I going to break it up, because he has a very distinct style where he'll do little values and fades for his colors. So you'll see me doing that also. Maybe I'll put that here. All right, now I have to kind of think about, this is my sky, I got my tree lines over here, my water, and now my canoe. I will be asking that you guys use both warm and cool colors, and so as my picture's kind of divided up, we already have cool, warm, cool, with a little bit of blending in between. Now the trick is to try to make it kind of look similar to what Ted Harrison was doing. So I'm going to divide my sky up kind of by value from what I see on my image. And we'll go this way. And then really all you have to do is kind of just step it down. You're just thinking what you're looking at is value. Value is what you're kind of trying to play with. So maybe I'll do one going this way. And this top one will go across. Okay, and my tree lines will stay there. I think I might, just because there is some depth associated with it, I might try to highlight some of that depth, and that will work as my dividing lines for my warm and cools. And then we'll do the same for the water as well. Okay, so this will be my template for what I'm going to be doing. I will get a little bit more detail on this as I go along, but I'm going to start painting. Now again, it's abstracted. He was using colors that he wanted to use. You do not have to stick to what's traditionally in the photograph or wherever to do this project. So I'm going to get my paints and get started. So I'm going to be mixing up, again, it's hard to see with the camera on, but this is kind of like, I think I'm just going to do a violet to start with, and I'm going to be starting in my sky. And you want to make enough that you can actually transition through all those values. So there is my violet. So I will start with that, and I'm going to start with my darkest violet right up here. And I'll fill that in completely. And from there, I'm going to start gradually stepping it lighter for me. I'm going to make mine just a little bit lighter every time. So I'm going to scoop some white and start mixing that in. And I'll just keep adding white to this little pile so it gets a little bit lighter every single time. So now that I have my first one down, I'm going to continue painting the rest of it. I'll pause the camera now and I'll turn it back on when I'm all done. Alright, so as you can see, I finished my painting. I have my warm and cool colors done, and as well as my transitions and tints and shades. Subject matter, which is kind of hard to see on the camera, is my canoe in the corner. And now the final step is that I want you to choose a tint to do some outlines. So if we think back to Ted Harrison's work, he had those outlines that kind of flattens the image, right? So we want this graphic look to it. So I chose, I'll get my palette so you can see, I just made up a really, really, really light blue. I'm going to put that next where my trees and water meet, just because I think blue and orange will stand out a lot because it's complementary colors. So I'm just going to do a couple to separate the sky and the water because it kind of gets blended. So all I have is these couple horizontal lines moving across, and I want to make sure that they read as something different other than just shapes. So I changed to a little bit more of a thinner brush. I loaded up my brush, and now I'm just going to quickly do my lines.